Welcome in, guys. Happy Saturday. Happy July 10th, 2021. My name is Jade Lowe, also known as TikTok's infamous opinionist. If you have not given me a follow on TikTok, head on over there and do that now. Wrestling with My Thoughts is presented by the Fired Up Sports Network, the all-new Fired Up Sports Network. You saw our fancy new intros there coming into the show. We got a lot of exciting things happening over at Fired Up Sports. For those of you that are watching on my YouTube and Facebook, welcome in. For future use, you can also head over to the Fired Up Sports Facebook or YouTube pages, spelled just like that, sorry. And you can always watch the show on the Fired Up Sports YouTube and Facebook channels as well. Something else that Fired Up Sports is currently offering, bam, we got merch. Not just for me, but for Wrestling with My Thoughts and the other shows that we have going on as well. You can see kind of a concept idea for the two shirts that we're offering right now. We have just a standard wrestling ring logo with the Wrestling with My Thoughts logo there on the side. And then we've also got You Wanted My Opinion, You Got It shirt with my catchphrase from TikTok. So these shirts are really cool. Super excited that we're able to offer them. Again, if you want to check those out, go ahead and do that. The link, there you go, it was being covered by the ticker there, but the link is firedupsportsapparel.com for all of your Fired Up Sports and Wrestling with My Thoughts merch. So head on over there, check it out. If you love my show, you may also love the other show we have going on every Wednesday night, the Dump and Chase Premier Hockey Show. If you're interested in hockey, check that out as well. Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Fired Up Sports Network. So now, as we get rid of this image that's covering up my face, there we go. Welcome in everyone who's currently watching. We have 11 viewers currently, including Gavin. Hello, Gavin. Regular viewer, Amanda, one of my favorite TikTok followers. We got Marty Leo. How's it going? It is going well, Marty. It's a rainy Saturday, but I am indoors with all of you beautiful people talking a little bit of wrestling, so it's a great day. Aiden Acosta says hello, and that you came from TikTok. Hello, Aiden. Glad to have you. You're loved and appreciated. The real one is here, too. If you haven't followed the real one on TikTok, go give him a follow. That's his username right there. Go and give him a follow if you haven't done so. Guys, let's talk about wrestling. You'll notice that the name of my show this week is The Good, The Bad, and The Raw. Guys, Raw, it was looking better. Raw was looking better as we welcome in Ryan Wing, who says, let's go. Let's can go indeed. And James Bucket, first time here. Love your TikTok content. James, you're loved and appreciated, man. Thank you so much. Wes, thank you so much for your support. You're loved and appreciated. And there is That One Law 37. Go give him a follow if you haven't done so already. Guys, I mentioned on my podcast just a few weeks ago, actually, that Raw was actually looking better. They had decent matches. They had concurrent stories. They had stuff that made sense. And then it seemed like my saying that appears to have placed a curse on Monday Night Raw. Because as Marty says in chat, Raw is awful and has been for months. Listen, again, it has been awful for months, but it was showing a little bit of hope, Marty. And it's all gone. Do you know how I judge that a show was awful? When I can't remember a single thing that happened on it. And or the things that I do remember from the show are so fucking laughable. You know the thing I recall most from this past Monday's episode of Raw? Charlotte and Rhea playing Star Wars with their crutches. That was the silliest fucking thing I have seen in a very long time. And listen, in wrestling, I am a firm believer, as a 100% hardened mark that I am. I'm a firm believer that silly in wrestling can work. That it has worked. That it will continue to work, but only if that silly is surrounded by a story that is interesting and or has been silly the whole time. The Rhea Charlotte story, as far as I'm concerned, is not interesting. It's been done. And here I am just sitting here waiting for Charlotte to win the championship. And it's been played as a serious show, as a serious rivalry, as a serious match. And yet here we have Rhea Ripley, the most badass performer in NXT history. Appearance-wise, wrestling-wise, attitude-wise, promo-wise. 100% certified grade A badass. And then we have Charlotte Flair, the woman who has won more women's championships than anyone in history. The woman who is meant to be taken as a serious threat in every match that she is in. A woman who has been sold as a crazy psychopath multiple times. And here we have the two of them fighting with lightsaber crutches. Can you guys imagine, just for 1 minute, just bear with me for a minute, use your imaginations. Can you imagine, just imagine WrestleMania 3, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. The crowd around them is going insane. The match has been sold as a match you can't miss. Can't miss match. Jimmy Hart's going ape shit at ringside. They go toe to toe, nose to nose. They back up. They come back, and then they start swinging crutches at each other. If you are not trying to make every match a must-see event, and I'm talking to the wrestlers, I'm talking to the bookers, I'm talking to the writers, Vince McMahon, everybody. If you are not making your best effort to make every match that you have, every major match that you have, a must-see event, then what the fuck are you doing? What's the point? How am I, as a fan, as a mark, how am I expected to watch Money in the Bank next Sunday and give one single solitary shit nugget this big about who wins between Rhea and Charlotte, when the last thing that I'm going to remember, fuck all what happens this coming Monday. Who cares? The last thing I'm going to remember about Rhea versus Charlotte is that they were swinging crutches at each other. And that's what's meant to make me care about the Raw Women's Championship match. What else happened on Monday? The New Day had a tag team match with MVP and Bobby. That was interesting. I'm actually, Bobby versus Kofi is the only thing currently, in my opinion, that Raw is doing right. The only thing that Raw is doing right. They don't have the right men in the Money in the Bank match, as far as I'm concerned. Riddle, maybe, borderline. Drew McIntyre needs to be nowhere near this thing. Nowhere near this thing. And here's my point being proven right now in front of your eyes. I swear to God, I watched all 3 hours of Raw. And I'm suddenly blanking on who else is in that Raw Money in the Bank match. Ricochet. I just remembered Ricochet and John Morrison. It all just came to me. But you know who's the SmackDown match? Big E, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. And I'm forgetting one. Okay, that's fine. I was trying to prove a point. Point of the matter is I care much more. And Shinsuke Nakamura, because I just remembered the Fatal 4-Way for SmackDown. The SmackDown side of the Money in the Bank match is being booked way better than the Raw side. I care way more about the 4 guys on the SmackDown side than I do on the Raw side. Liv Morgan's pursuit of the Money in the Bank match that she just got booked for on this past episode of SmackDown is way more interesting than anything they have going on the Raw side with the women's Money in the Bank match. Are we talking about Nikki Ash? I mean, good for her if she picked the character. Good for her if it gets over in front of a live crowd. I'm not seeing it. We'll see what happens. Alexa Bliss seems to have lost all of her powers somehow over a period of 2 weeks. And then you got Asuka and Naomi, who are not going to win the Money in the Bank match. Top to bottom, match by match, star by star, SmackDown is head over heels, far and away, by a mile, better than Monday Night Raw. It's almost like they are owned by two different companies. And it's insane. Why do I watch Raw and for 2.5 out of the 3 hours I'm completely miserable? And then I watched SmackDown on Hulu this morning. Couldn't get enough of it. It flew by. Everything from the opening match to the ending segment with Roman Reigns and Edge. Fantastic. So excited for SmackDown's half of the Money in the Bank show. Raw's got Kofi versus Bobby. That's it. I don't care about anything else. I know most of you agree. Let's check out chat and see what chat is saying so far. Marty says lowest rating ever. Yeah, that becomes less impressive when they do that every week. I think my connection missed all that, which thank God, because Rhea Charlotte has been hot garbage. It has. Wes Henry, my opinion, but I think it's time to try and remake Charlotte with a little more humility. They've tried that. She's been a babyface before. She gets titles either way. I'm just watching it for the SmackDown guys in the ladder matches. I'm with you. James, can't remember the last time I watched it. So I'm guessing you're an AEW guy then, which is fine. We'll talk about AEW in a little bit. Yeah, Liam. So Vince McMahon recently came out and released a statement that said that he knows that WWE is getting stale. And he followed that up by saying that he is saving all of his good stories for when there are fans. Need I remind everyone that just about 2 years ago, when he had packed houses full of fans, he was running Cuck Rusev versus Bobby Lashley. Need I remind everyone that about 3 years ago, in front of packed houses, Braun Strowman was pushing Kevin Owens. Braun Strowman was pushing Kevin Owens over in a porta potty. Need I remind everyone that about 3 years ago, in front of packed houses with fans, Bobby Lashley was dressing, or Sami Zayn was dressing men up like women in a very offensive segment to play Bobby Lashley's sisters. Vince McMahon wants to come out and tell me we're going to save all of our good stuff for when there's crowds. He can kiss the fattest, markiest, widest part of my ass. I don't buy that for a second. I think he knows that WWE is in deep shit, at least that Raw is in deep shit. From a fan trust perspective, and I think he's trying to buy a little bit of goodwill, and I don't buy it for a hot second. What's going on with my comments? I'm freezing. Oh. Go away. There we go. I expect New Day is working towards a breakup. Wes, I could see that. I could see New Day working toward a breakup. I just hope they do it right. Like maybe Kofi loses to Lashley and then blames Woods for some reason. That'd be cool. Ricochet, yeah, Ryan, you know what? I'll give credit where it's due. Ricochet versus Morrison was okay. We got that GIF moment of him jumping from the ring over the barricade, for sure. Yeah, that was that. The Ricochet Morrison matches have been really good. But it's like, even those matches that are really good, it almost seems like the unexpected is very expected for Ricochet and Morrison. Like, the stuff they did was cool, but it's stuff that I knew that they were going to do. Even when Morrison sat up on that barricade, you can ask my fiance, I leaned over to her and said, Ricochet's about to jump off the ropes and hit Morrison across the floor. It's just, there's something about Raw where even the unexpected is completely predictable. I can't explain it. I see you guys commenting about SmackDown and AEW. We're going to come to them in just a minute. Just getting some comments for Raw. James says if New Day were to break up, it wouldn't be good for Woods. I humbly disagree. Like, I don't think it's 100% gimme that Woods would be a star if they break up. I'm hoping they bring back the King of the Ring tournament. Because Xavier Woods has been asking on Twitter for years to bring back and for him to win the King of the Ring tournament. So I'm honestly hoping that's what happens. Let's change gears, guys. While we're on the subject of WWE, let's go ahead and talk about SmackDown. SmackDown, consistently for the better part of the entirety of the Thunderdome era, has been the better show. Raw, for whatever reason, suffers a lot more without fans. SmackDown also has the benefit of having, in my opinion, more great characters than Raw. SmackDown right now, it used to be that like interchangeably between SmackDown and Raw, one would be the character show and one would be the pure wrestling show. Right now, unfortunately for WWE and unfortunately for the Raw writing team, SmackDown is both the character show and the pure wrestling show. Because you tune in for great characters like Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Cesaro, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, even Apollo Crews now, Dolph Ziggler. But week to week, you also get consistently great matches. Cesaro and Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, Big E and Apollo when they're hitting on the right pathing, Bianca and Bayley, right? And then you don't have all these distracting doldrums with SmackDown. Like with Raw, you have Alexa Bliss and all her shenanigans. You have Omos stomping around. You have Eva Marie and Piper Niven, Doudrop, doing their thing. Raw has too many things that it wants all of your attention to be pressed to, and SmackDown feels like much more of a team effort. It feels like everyone gets their shine. You're meant to care about everything that happens on SmackDown, whereas Raw, it's 2 hours of bullshit, and then here's about an hour of stuff that we really want you to be concerned about right now. Here's the big thing with SmackDown. Several of you have asked about it. Jimmy Uso. Much like Gavin and much like Amanda and everyone else who's commented about it so far, I, just like you, am shocked that Jimmy Uso was there last night. Now, part of me thinks that it was the timing of it all. That it happened so quickly that they didn't feel they had the time to rewrite. And it was an awesome fucking ending. They didn't have time to rewrite that awesome fucking ending and not have Jimmy Uso there. Now, Jimmy and Jay got choked out with the bottom of a chair. So maybe that's what writes Jimmy off for a little bit. To stop talking about the story and to stop talking about the wrestling, I think we all need to acknowledge something. One thing I've learned in my 7 months of doing TikTok is that people online very easily forget that behind the curtain and behind the fireworks and behind the music and behind the superstardom and behind the athleticism, these are people. These are people. Jimmy Uso is a person. Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso, for that matter, they are people that are very prone to bad decisions. They have very what appear to be addictive personalities, and they seem to be the kind of people that need other people around them to keep them steady. And the reason that I get a little bit emotional when I talk about things like this is that those of you that follow me on TikTok may remember or may know that I lost my younger brother back in January, and my brother got in trouble all the time. He had a very addictive personality. He made bad decisions, and he needed people around him to help him not make those bad decisions. So I can relate to Jimmy Uso's situation. He's proven time and time again that he is a danger to himself with the mistakes that he makes, and he's a danger to others with the mistakes that he makes. Unfortunately, my family and I didn't recognize the signs with my brother because he didn't get arrested. He never got caught doing what he was doing. But what he was doing ended up costing him his life. Jimmy and Jey Uso's family can see what's going on. And now some of you guys may think, oh, Jay, you're overreacting, you emotional bitch. It's just a drunk driving incident. No, it's a drunk driving incident that if it wasn't stopped could have killed someone or could have killed Jimmy or could have killed anybody that was riding in the car with him. And I think it is a grave mistake to have someone who gets busted for drunk driving to then immediately be afforded the spotlight of what Jimmy was able to do on SmackDown. I'm not looking for Jimmy and Jay to lose their jobs. I'm not looking for Jimmy to be suspended. All that's going to do is drive him to drink more and to make more bad decisions. I think it would go a long way towards WWE's public image and ultimately just be the right thing to do for them to do whatever they need to do to find Jimmy and Jay, if he needs it, some help. Rehab, counseling, AA, whatever they need. Do whatever they can to help the Usos stop making these mistakes before they hurt themselves or before they hurt someone else. And again, sure, do it for the public image and all that. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Do it because the Usos have been with the WWE for about 12 years now. They have consistently been one of their top performers, their most reliable performers. So if you don't want to do it for Jimmy, do it for yourself. The Usos are a team, and they are performers that you want on your roster for a long time yet. So do whatever you need to do to protect them from themselves. And I'm sorry to lump Jay into this, but it's not like Jay is an angel. Jay's gotten in trouble too. They come from the same family. So WWE, in closing, again, I didn't mean to spend so much time or to get up on a soapbox or to get so emotional. Do whatever needs to be done to help Jimmy and to help Jay. Scott Chastain says he's a cop, retired cop. Thank you for your service. And he's seen the results of drunk driving. Me too. Not pretty. Not a retired cop, but I've seen the results. Give them help, send them to rehab. Not the first time, Marty. You're absolutely right. Wouldn't the charges fall into the wellness program? If so, he could be looking at a 90-day suspension. Wes, I don't know about that. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know the full details of the wellness program. That is a very good question. Could absolutely fall under the wellness program, and if it does, Jimmy could be looking at a long suspension. I'd add the sheriff currently. Aiden, your dad, thank you very much for his service. Going back to SmackDown, let's change gears again. Let's talk about the Roman Reigns storyline. First of all, that ending with the Mysterios and the Usos was awesome. I've got what I think is a pretty funny video as like a parody to that coming out tomorrow, so you guys know about that first. Keep an eye out for my morning upload on TikTok tomorrow. I've got a pretty funny video coming surrounding that ending. But the ending itself was great. It was frenetic. It was energetic. It was unexpected. It was well executed. The acting was great. Just overall really good. And I get more hyped week over week for Edge versus Roman Reigns. The only thing that gives me cause to pause with Edge versus Roman is that I think we're still in a position where there is no right winner here. Because I think WWE wants Roman to be the champ going into SummerSlam. But I also think that you can't have Edge come back, win the Royal Rumble, and then lose this match twice. I think the best case scenario is that Edge wins. Because you could just put Roman in a triple threat rematch at SummerSlam or something. Roman still gets to be there. If Edge loses, no matter how he loses, you can't do Edge versus Roman again. You can't. So it's a hard decision from a booking perspective. But I just think that Edge should be the one to go over at Money in the Bank, but it's hard to predict. Like Aiden says, we could be getting Edge and the Mysterios versus the Bloodline. I like how everyone on the internet calls Roman and the Usos the Bloodline, even though they've never called themselves that. That's funny. It's not bad. Yeah, or just more likely the Mysterios versus the Usos with Edge and Roman in their corners is probably the most likely. And then Brando brings in a good point too. What about John Cena? The rumors are heavy. The rumors are consistent that John Cena is locked in for SummerSlam. The biggest rumor being that it will be John Cena versus Roman Reigns in some capacity for the Universal Championship. So that that again gives me cause to pause with Edge versus Roman too. I'd be happy to see John Cena back. I don't know if I need to see Cena versus Roman. I don't think that would be. I don't think that would go over well, to be honest, with the live crowd. But I love John Cena. I love what he does. I appreciate what he's done for WWE. So yeah, I'd be excited to see John Cena come back. Another thing on SmackDown that I'm excited about is to see what happens next with Otis and Chad Gable. They cut a really cool, really intense promo with Chad Gable and Otis on SmackDown as well. Not much to say about that. You know, he's beaten the piss out of the Mysterios. He's beaten the piss out of the Street Profits. Seems like the Street Profits are getting some well-deserved time off after wrestling every week for the past year and a half. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Otis, if anything. And then obviously I can't stop talking about SmackDown without talking about A, Money in the Bank, and B, all the new debuts. And let's start with the new debuts. So on SmackDown we had Shotzi and Knox debut as a tag team, which is weird because Shotzi has been in a consistent tag team with Ember Moon for a long time. But I guess Ember Moon is going to stay on NXT. I could understand if the option was given to Ember to say, hey, Ember, we want you and Shotzi to go to the main roster. And Ember was like, hell no. Based on how Ember's booking lasted or worked the last time out on the main roster. But yeah, so Shotzi and Knox. Here's the weird thing. Everyone's talking about how, Shotzi lost her last name and Tegan lost her first name. I don't know if it was an accident or what. Am I going crazy, or did Michael Cole still call Knox by her first name several times during that match? They seemed very careful to not use Shotzi's last name, but I'm pretty sure Michael Cole called Tegan Knox several times. Or maybe I was drunk when I was watching it. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. He did? That's what I thought. So who knows? Guys, I've given up on this whole WWE thing with last names and first names and all this stuff. I've completely given up on it. Who cares? As long as they wrestle and as long as the matches and the stories are good, I don't care. And they had a decent match with Natalya and Tamina. A couple of botches, mostly on Tamina's end. Tamina botches all the time. I'm not a big fan of Tamina. And they got the win, which is great. That's how you should debut an NXT talent, is to bring them on and immediately have them win. Wes Henry says, what confuses me was the build NXT was giving Tegan just to have her move to SmackDown. Here's the thing about that, Wes. I think that Bayley's injury may have created a domino effect. Much like Survivor Series 2019 when the SmackDown talent was stuck in Saudi Arabia, and that created a domino effect on how SmackDown was booked. I think Bayley getting injured may have created a domino effect. Because Carmella got pulled from the Money in the Bank match to fight Bianca. Liv got pulled up from the Doldrums to be in the Money in the Bank match. So I'm thinking that as those pieces move up to fill that hole that Bayley left when she got injured, I think that may have created a necessity for Tegan and for Shotzi to be on SmackDown. I'm excited to see what happens. I've never been the biggest fan of either of them. For Tegan, I've never been the biggest fan because she can't hold herself together. She's had almost career-ending injuries twice since she came to WWE, and I think that that's a pattern, not an accident. Shotzi is just a little bit too quirky for me, but I'll tell you what, the matches she's been having recently have sort of turned me around on her. TikTok's MacGruber, Zach would like to hear me say that. So I've turned around on Shotzi a little bit. Tegan, I like what she does in the ring, but I just don't have any faith that she's not going to get hurt. I think she's going to injure her leg again. It's more likely than not that that's going to happen. So we'll see. And then coming in behind her, I think this one was probably planned ahead of time, which is why she got a promo package instead of just arriving on a tank. Toni Storm is coming to SmackDown, which is going to be interesting. Obviously, NXT talents don't always work out when they come to the main roster, but Toni's got the charisma. She's got the look. He's got it in the ring. So we'll see what happens with Tony Storm. I'm excited to see what happens. We also have the Baron Corbin storyline. He failed to enter the Money in the Bank match. He has now lost his car. He's losing his house in storyline. He's lost to Shinsuke Nakamura like 3 times. He lost his crown to Shinsuke, and then he lost his spot in the Money in the Bank match to Shinsuke. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know if they're trying to build sympathy for Baron Corbin or if they're trying to give Baron his comeuppance for all the shit that he's done over the past 2 years. I don't know. We'll see. I could definitely see Corbin turning face. He definitely needs to give up on that hairline, much like I'm in the process of doing. Definitely needs to give up on that hairline. So, and then the Money in the Bank. I'll probably predict Money in the Bank next Saturday. I don't want to make predictions for now. I'll predict the entire show next Saturday. But I'll tell you what, based on the people that are in the match, it's probably going to be a hell of a match. I think the last time they had a great Money in the Bank match was probably what was the year? The year that Brock Lesnar won. Was that 2018 or 2019? I think it might have been 2018. If I remember right. That was the last great one, the one with Andrade and Finn Balor and all those guys. Joe says, I think Bayley may be pregnant. Isn't it odd she's out 9 months? I mean, could be a coincidence. I don't know why they would build the I quit and then make it up. Because they didn't hide the fact that Lacey Evans or Becky Lynch was pregnant. I don't know why they would hide the fact that Bayley is pregnant. Unless that was Bayley's decision. So we'll see. Anyway, like I was saying, I'm more excited for this Money in the Bank match than I have been a lot of them. Again, Drew McIntyre, I don't know why he's in there. I guess mostly because they probably couldn't think of anything else to do with him and they wanted to have him on the show. But everyone else in the match. Morrison's going to do some crazy shit. Ricochet's going to do some crazy shit. Matt Riddle doesn't mind to take an ass beating. Kevin Owens doesn't mind to take an ass beating. Seth Rollins, obviously, is a great wrestler. Big E is going to do a lot of strongman shit with the ladders. This is just going to, Shinsuke, this is just going to be a really, really fun Money in the Bank match, I think. A lot more fun than the women's side is going to be. Even though the women's side, I would say, would have the more interesting winner. Liv Morgan winning the women's Money in the Bank match would be more interesting than the result, any result from the men's Money in the Bank match or any other result from the women's Money in the Bank match. I personally will pop out of my fucking socks and shoes if Liv Morgan wins the Money in the Bank match. Keith Lewis says, I still call it a bad luck angle with Corbin. He broke a mirror at Money in the Bank headquarters. 7 years bad luck. That's great. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Randy Orton. Some of you might know. I've tried to look for it. I can't find what's going on with Orton and why it's on the show. Is he injured? And if so, can you share with me an article? Share with me an article to say what's happening with Orton. Phil says, I don't know who I want to win. If I had it my way, the Ricochet or King Nakamura. Women's, I would have Liv. So let's get a train going. Everyone comment right now. I don't care if you're on Facebook or YouTube. If you're watching, comment right now and tell me who you want to win. Who do you think should win? Not necessarily who you think is going to win. Who do you think should win the men's Money in the Bank ladder matches? And let's see where the wind is blowing. Gavin says Nakamura is his dark horse. Wes says he can't find anything about Orton. Brando says he heard Orton was on vacation. All right, let's see. Brando wants Liv Morgan and Big E. Marty wants Big E. Gavin says either Nakamura or Big E. We got more of you guys watching. There's a vote for Ricochet and a vote for Liv Morgan. A lot of support for Liv. Another vote for Liv Morgan. Ricochet. Aiden says John Morrison and Liv Morgan. So it looks like we're kind of all on the same track that we want Liv Morgan to win. There's another vote, Liv Morgan. And then we've got a vote for Morrison, a vote for Ricochet, a couple of votes for Big E. Wes wants to see Liv, but he's predicting Zelina Vega. Amanda wants, so a lot of support for Big E in chat. Gavin says Liv Morgan. I think we're all in agreement that we want Liv to win. And then on the men's side, we've got some support for Big E, Ricochet, and John Morrison. Okay. Amanda says Liv Morgan as well. Okay. Very cool. I think I want, again, my prediction for what will happen, I'll talk about next Saturday. I want Kevin Owens to have the briefcase, and I want him to turn heel while he has it. And I want Liv Morgan to win. Yeah, for the women's side, those will probably be filled next Friday. I don't know why they're filling the match so slowly. Such a fucking slow process. Who do I not want to win? Who do I not want to win Money in the Bank? I don't want to see Seth Rollins get it. I don't want to see Drew McIntyre get it. I don't want to see Asuka get it. I love Asuka, by the way. She's one of my top 10 favorites of all time, but I don't think this is hers to win. I think Vega would be a lot like Carmella winning it. Vega is like the perfect woman to win it based on the opportunistic nature of the Money in the Bank briefcase. Just like I think on the men's side, I think Kevin Owens is the best person to win it based on the opportunistic nature of the briefcase. So let's talk about NXT. I don't have a banner to talk about NXT. NXT's got some cool stuff going on. Roderick Strong's back with the Diamond Mine. Roddy has forged his own faction, and he's a leader. The rest of the Undisputed Era are doing cool shit. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly just had a banger of a match at the Bash on NXT. You got Bobby Fish, who showed up for one show and said he was going to go his own separate way, and then hasn't showed up again. Hopefully he didn't get injured again, I'll say that. Bobby Fish and Tegan Knox are two peas in a pod. They're held together by bubble gum and string. You've got Cameron Grimes, who is now the butler for LA Knight. LA Knight is the new $1 million champion. They've had two banger matches on NXT TV for that $1 million championship. You've got Kushida doing cool shit with the Cruiserweight title. And then one of my favorite things going on in NXT is the faction for Hit Row, led by the new North American champion, Isaiah Swerve Scott, who just beat Bronson Reed for the championship 2 weeks ago. Hit Row, I think, has all kinds of potential. I think they need to tone it down just a wee bit. Like, they're way up here, which is great. But like we tell people at my job all the time, we would rather people be way up here and pull them down a little bit than be way down here and pull them up. Hit Row is way up here. I think what they're doing just needs to be toned down just a smidge. Because sometimes when they're bouncing around and they're doing their entrance and they're talking over each other, I'm like, you know, I can't pinpoint who is talking sometimes. But Top Dollar is a great muscle. What is it? I forget her name. Be Bad or something like that. What's the female performer's name in that group? For some reason, Be Bad is screaming at me. And you got Thea the Adonis and Isaiah Swerve Scott. And they all have their roles. They all play them perfectly. They have a lot of charisma. They're all great wrestlers from what I've seen. I think they have a lot of potential, and they're one of my favorite things on NXT, as much as I think they need to tone it down just a little bit. Be Fab. Thank you, guys. Be Fab. Yeah. Hit Row, far and away, besides the obvious picks, Adam Cole and stuff like that. And I think Johnny Gargano is being overlooked. I think Gargano is doing some great stuff right now. He's kind of playing a tweener role because he's still playing like a sniveling little dick face, but he's playing a baby face against Karrion Kross's monster heel. And the live crowd in NXT was fully behind him at the Bash when he came out and confronted Karrion Kross. I think Johnny Gargano is doing some really cool shit on NXT right now. So NXT's got a lot to love. I think that I think they were trying a little bit too hard when they were going head to head with AEW, and I felt like NXT took a dive. Ever since they moved to Tuesdays and stopped competing with AEW, I feel like NXT's ceiling has gone way up here. Meaning that when they have good shows, it's fucking great. When previously, when they were going head to head with AEW, if NXT had a good shows, middling, maybe a little bit better than Raw, but not quite as good as SmackDown or AEW. The hierarchy for a long time was SmackDown and AEW kind of taking turns flip-flopping 1 and 2. And then way down here in the middle, you had NXT, and then way down at the bottom, you had Raw. Raw's still at the bottom, but now NXT has shot up here, and it's kind of flip-flopping 1A, 1B, and 1C. My thoughts on Austin Theory. Well, I don't know what the status of his sexual assault allegation is. I can't speak on that. Obviously, if it comes back that he's guilty of any form of sexual assault, just throw him out and throw away the key. But until I hear that, I think Austin Theory has a lot of potential. Right now, he's playing kind of a goofball in the way. He's never going to become a main eventer with that gimmick. He's like, for those of you that watch Boy Meets World, he's like season 7 Eric Matthews. He's a complete idiot. He's never going to be a main eventer with that gimmick, but he's entertaining as shit. He's a great wrestler. So I think Austin Theory can be a main eventer, but he's going to have to get rid of the way before he does that. Gavin, Johnny Gargano has said in shoot interviews in the past that he doesn't want to go to Raw or SmackDown. He wants to stay on NXT, but I'd be okay with it. James says, I would love to start watching NXT, but not sure where it's on in the UK. Yeah, I'm not sure either. I know you can watch it on replay on the WWE network, but I don't know where it's on. If anyone wants to research that for James and put it in chat, he and I would appreciate it. Find out where you can watch NXT in the UK and put it in chat for Gavin. All right, do I have any AEW marks in chat? Any AEW Dynamite marks in chat? Don't be afraid to speak up. It's okay to be an AEW mark. I'm a mark for it all. Listen, people get so upset. This is a little bit off topic. People get so upset when I call people marks on TikTok. Mark is not an insult. We're all marks. Everyone who is as into wrestling as I am is a mark, because that's the definition of a mark. We're people who buy into the stories, we buy into the characters, we buy into the performers. We are all fucking marks. So if you're an AEW mark, don't get mad at me. Be fucking proud of it. Be proud to be a fucking mark, because that's what I am. Marty says NXT is on BT Sport. There you go, James. Thank you, Marty. Brando the Mando says, I am going to Fight for the Fallen. That's awesome, man. Have a great fucking time. It's going to be excellent. Fight for the Fallen is going to be absolutely incredible. So AEW has a lot of cool things going on. They're teasing that they're going to do Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega has a silly fucking mustache now, and I love it. The Dark Order, I think, has been doing a good job getting Hangman Page over, even though he doesn't need help in that department. He's super fucking over. Sorry, I'm trying to get this image off the screen. There we go. We have the Young Bucks defending the Tag Team Championships week in and week out, usually winning by nefarious means, but still winning. Jungle Boy is super over. Orange Cassidy is super over. And then how about the fucking debuts? Andrade El Idolo. Awesome. Malachi Black. Fucking awesome. Here's the thing. Everyone wants to get in chat and everyone wants to call out the fact that Cody and Jericho both said on separate podcasts back in 2019 that AEW is not going to be one of those places with a bunch of ex-WWE guys, right? And now the anti-AEW marks want to say, oh, look at this. They're just like WCW. They're getting all the guys that WWE didn't want. They're getting all the guys that WWE didn't want to keep. WWE wanted them. In a perfect world, WWE would still have Aleister Black on their roster, still have Andrade on their roster. They were cut either for budget reasons or because the person asked for it. Andrade asked to be released, Aleister for budget reasons. He just signed a new big money deal they didn't feel like they can afford. Now, whether or not you want to look at the financials and call WWE on their bullshit, whatever. But they made the decision, and it was a financial decision. Perfect world, both of them would still be in WWE. This is not like AEW is desperate for people. They could have continued with their shows with stars like Omega and the Young Bucks and Cassidy and Ethan Page and Darby Allin and Scorpio Sky and all these guys, the Hybrid 2 and FTR and MJF. AEW has talent coming out of their ears, which is why they are starting Rampage, the second primary show. I know they've already been doing AEW Dark, but that's not a second show. That's just extra footage, right? It's extra matches. But when someone comes on the market, like Andrade, when someone comes on the market, like Tommy End, you snatch those fuckers up because they are two of the greatest athletes in the world in the middle of their primes that WWE couldn't figure out how to fucking use. Now, if that means that some of the lower card AEW talent's going to have to take a back seat, that's just business. That's just business. Who would you want in your main event? Sonny Kiss, as great as that person is, or Malachi Black? You tell me. Who would you want in the main event of your weekly show? Luchasaurus or Andrade? Andrade and Malachi Black are money. Money printed from a tree, wrestling in the ring week over week. And yeah, some of the lower card AEW talent is going to have to take a back seat as these new guys come in. Now, I agree here with Fua that says I'm worried about how much talent they keep getting. Now, eventually that is going to become a problem. Egos are going to become a problem. There's only so much time they have. I'm worried that they're going to end up pushing one of their shows to 3 hours. I hope they don't do that. So I think starting up Rampage is going to help with that problem. But I think eventually we're going to start seeing cuts from AEW. And the AEW fans, marks, are going to defend it, even though WWE did the exact same thing and they tore it apart. That's my prediction. So we'll do Fyter Fest predictions closer to the show here on Wrestling With My Thoughts. We have about 10 minutes left. This is the point in the show where I offer anyone who wants to turn on their camera and be on the show. I'm going to post the link to the broadcast room in chat. You'll be able to see this on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to come on with me for just a minute, you won't be able to be on for very long, but if you want to come on with me for just a minute, ask me a question, have a real brief discussion about a topic that's on your mind, click that link, get yourself set up, and I'll bring you on. If you don't want to do that, that's fine, but I'm going to leave the invitation out there until the end of the show. Gavin, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but I don't think Rampage is set to start until it's close to the end of the year, isn't it? Excuse me. My voice is a little bit hoarse today. I may have to bring it down a little bit. August 13th. Thank you, Aiden. Marty says, happy for Tommy Yen. Finally, someone will use him correctly. Now, that's to be seen, right? AEW is not perfect. AEW does not have a perfect record with booking guys. There have been guys that have been in shitty stories, like Anthony Ogogo, QT Marshall. So we'll see what happens. I have more faith in AEW than WWE, though. I'll say that. Just looking over the comments. Random Person Figs just joined. Hello, how are you? Good to have you on the show. Brando the Mando says he lost his voice when Malachi Black came back. I'm right there with you. I was pretty fucking stoked. Cody asked me, who do I want to see in the AEW world title picture? I'd like to see, obviously, I'm jacked for Hangman versus Kenny Omega. MJF, I want to eventually see in the world title picture. Eventually, I want to see Miro in the world title picture. Darby Allin would be interesting there, too. Jungle Boy needs to come back and be a main part of the main event scene. Fu, if you can get back into AEW, I definitely think that it's worth the 2 hours every week. Like I said, AEW, SmackDown, and NXT are like 1A, 1B, and 1C for me. We see CJ Perry, so also known as Lana, Miro's real-life wife, going to AEW. She's going to have to wait out the 90 days, unlike Malachi Black, who they forgot to update his contract, which is so fucking funny. For those of you that don't know, some of you may have been surprised that Aleister Black appeared on AEW television so soon after his release from WWE. Apparently, when they called him up from NXT, they forgot to renew his contract to indicate that he had a 90-day no-compete clause. So he only had a 30-day no-compete clause, and that's why he was able to legally join AEW so quickly. Malachi has to go through the Cody test. Win and you're in. Out. Well, you're still in, but you took a nail from the neck tattoo. Did I hear about Pat McAfee permanently replacing Heyman on Talking Smack? I did. I think that's for the best. Because when Paul Heyman's on there, he has to be in character. It's just sometimes it's awkward. My favorite thing about Pat McAfee is that he's just like a shameless mark, and it's so fucking funny to see. So I'm okay with a shameless mark being on Talking Smack. Guys, again, just in case, I'm going to give you one more chance. I'm going to post a link to the broadcast room in chat. If you're shy and don't want to join me on stream, that's fine. But anyone that does, there's your chance. Wes, I don't know who's going to get fired over that error, but somebody's going to get fired because I bet Vince was pissed. I bet he was pissed off. Guys, real quick plug one more time while I wait to see if we get any final questions. Once again, make sure you check out our merch. And again, let me turn this banner off. There we go. All new merch from Fired Up Sports, including myself, the infamous opinionist, and my podcast, Wrestling with My Thoughts. There's the link there in the bottom left, firedupsportsapparel.com. You'll be able to get a t-shirt that says, you want my opinion, you got it. We're also going to have a shirt with a wrestling ring with the Wrestling with My Thoughts logo. And you'll also be able to get logo from Fired Up Sports for our other stuff as well. We're working on some other material and some other content, but the only show we have running aside from my own every Wednesday night currently the Dump and Chase show, talking about hockey as they cover the NHL like you've never experienced on the Fired Up Sports Network. If you haven't subscribed to the Fired Up Sports Network, you can find it on Facebook and YouTube spelled just like, where's my arm? Just like that. Go check it out. Give them a follow or a subscription. And if you can't catch it on my channel for some reason, you can catch it on theirs. Check out the final comments. Brando the Mando, we're talking about the clerical error where in NXT, when someone gets fired or released, they have a 30-day no-compete clause. But when it's on Raw or SmackDown, you have a 90-day no-compete clause. And somebody forgot to update Tommy End's contract when they moved from NXT to the main roster. So he only had a 30-day no-compete clause. Yeah, AEW, I think sometimes they do too many special shows. Like, I don't need a Road Rager back-to-back with Fyter Fest. Like, just give me a straight-up fucking pay-per-view. But yeah, AEW is loaded right now. Heyman did help, but again, I think the role is more appropriate for Pat McAfee. Do I see Raw getting better sooner in the future? I give WWE the benefit of the doubt. If Vince says that Raw is going to get better when fans come back, who am I to doubt him? We'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in that, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, guys, since no one wants to join me on and we're running out of questions, I'm going to go ahead and cut the show for today. Make sure you join me every Saturday from here forward. My show used to be every Sunday. We are moving it to Saturday. every Saturday afternoon at 3 Eastern, 2 Central, Wrestling with My Thoughts. If you haven't followed me on TikTok, go give me a follow at Infamous Opinionist. You can also subscribe to Fired Up Sports on YouTube and Facebook. Enjoy the wrestling this week, guys. It's going to be a great week. Join me next Saturday for my Money in the Bank previews. And until then, I've been Jade Lowe, your Infamous Opinionist, and I hope you guys have a great weekend from here. I'm out, guys. See you later.